So this is, remember when I say that you're on the sacred union path of ascension? It's just one path, and you might be experiencing this with a counterpart, but it's also the union within the self that is then portrayed in the external experience with your partner. But all this energy that we're talking about, you can apply this to your ascension with your counterpart as well. And how you are helping each other to grow, to learn, to shift, to expand, to evolve, especially with this teacher energy. So, what I want to do is I want to go a little bit deeper into what might the divine masculine be experiencing with this 1212 portal. What might the divine feminine be experiencing with this 1212 portal? And I think I'm going to, pardon my reach here, I think I'm going to use tarot for this. That's what I'm being guided to do. All right, so what is the divine masculine experiencing? We have the Nine of Pentacles. Oh, wow. We have the Nine of Pentacles. I have not seen that for the divine masculine in ever. Very interesting. At least not in these collective readings. So tell me about the divine masculine. I'm going to take this Five of Swords energy as well, but I feel like this is almost like an outlier. So we have the Nine of Pentacles, we have the Nine of Wands, and we have the Queen of Wands. Remember when I talked a little bit about how it feels like this new moon in Sagittarius, it feels almost like a beginning and a completion at the same time? I feel like that is especially prevalent for the masculine energy, because I feel we have two nines here, and I feel like they are coming up on the edge of a completion of a cycle, of a phase of their journey, and especially of a phase within themselves. This masculine has been going through a rebirth to understand what true sovereignty is. To become the emperor is what I'm hearing. I'm seeing the emperor card in my mind. To become the emperor. Oh yeah, look, the Wheel of Fortune. So there is this massive shift that is happening for the divine masculine. And again, it's the energy of good fortune. And I feel like it's because they're moving out of this conflict within the self, this conflict within the mind, this battle of mind and heart. For the past several months, maybe even the past year, we've been talking about how it feels like the divine masculine is coming online. And I feel like this began last Lionsgate in 2022. And it's really been amplified over the course of this past year. And I feel like there might have been lots of tarot moments. There might have been lots of experiences. Remember, the divine masculine approaches their journey very differently. They tend to experience more within the physical, and that's part of their process, part of their ascension. But it feels like they're really coming online with their higher selves, tuning more into their higher self, and moving away from the unconscious patterns and behaviors, etc. And this has been a process. And for many of these divine masculines, they have been in resistance to this process. But that has been part of the process itself, is what I'm hearing. That resistance was part of the process itself for them to really understand themselves, connect with themselves, and to expand within themselves. Part of the resistance was almost like we talk about contrast, right? You have to know what you're resistant to in order to understand what you are expanding into, in order to know how you are evolving and become really conscious of that evolution. And I feel like that's what the divine masculine is experiencing. And I feel like this 1212 gateway leading into the solstice, leading into the new year, with this new moon energy as amplifying energy, as cosmic support energy, is helping complete a phase for the divine masculine where they were operating within the unconscious self. And what I'm actually seeing is they have been peeling away those layers in order to find that fire within. And I like the Queen of Wands here, because that's that fiery energy, to find their strength, to find their direction, to find their purpose. The unconscious masculine is very aimless. They don't have a sense of direction. They don't have a purpose. They feel very passionless. They just kind of go with the flow, go with the status flow or status quo, go with the flow of energy. It's a very passive energy. But as they connect to themselves and to the masculine energy within themselves, and part of understanding the masculine energy within themselves, they've had to connect to the feminine energy within themselves. Not the distorted feminine, but the conscious feminine. Again, we go very deep into this in the Twin Flame Truths channelings. I'm sorry, the course, the workshop, or in previous Sacred Union channeling, so I don't want to repeat myself. But this is the Divine Masculine coming online. This is the Conscious Masculine coming online. And now, not just in tune with their higher mind. Remember, the masculine is very cerebral. They're very connected to their mind. That's where they create. That's where they're um, that's where they're very in tune, but also bringing that into connection with their heart. And what I just keep seeing is like a green line, like an energy line between the mind and the heart. That's what it means to come online. It's connected to each other. They're not avoiding their heart or denying their heart space or in deception or self-sabotage of their emotional body. It's about trusting their heart and letting that heart guide them with that intellect, with that logic, with that rationale, which the Divine Masculine is so extremely powerful in and good at. The distorted masculine, the unconscious masculine, lets that rule them to the point where they might sabotage themselves. It lets their mind rule them in a way that they are second guessing themselves. They might have an intuitive nudge, that's the heart connection, but then they pull themselves back. They might go towards something and then have some kind of defeating mindset or lack mindset or some kind of doubt. And rather than tuning into their heart and letting that continue to guide them, they let that doubt pull them back into old energy, into old cycles, into old patterns. And so there's no forward movement here. But the conscious masculine is connected to their heart space, and they let that overrule any doubts within the mind. Applying practical reason, logic, when making decisions and going forward, but not letting the lower conscious energies of doubt and uncertainty and distraction, etc., pull them away. They're tuning in and trusting the guidance of their heart now and understanding what their intuition is. They've learned discernment of what intuition and true intuition is. So I feel like there's a lot of forward movement. And I feel like with the Nine of Wands and the Nine of Pentacles, it's a little bit of a juxtaposing energy where, again, I feel like that's what's completing and that's what's coming into balance here. And it's almost like the Nine of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands here becomes the Queen of Wands, where she can be in her self-empowerment, or he, if we're talking about the Divine Masculine. Remember, we're not talking about gender, we're talking about energy here. So when I'm referencing he, I'm referencing the Divine Masculine, but it's a she on the card. So where the Divine Masculine can be in that place of self-empowerment. They're tuned into that place of self-empowerment. And I like that it's a queen because that means that they're in tune with their feminine energy and honoring their feminine energy as well. And as they honor the feminine energy, that's what connects them to their masculine energy and helps the divine masculine energy within them rise. Just like divine feminine, for you, it was you connecting to the security and safety of your inner masculine that has helped that divine feminine energy within you come out so that you can express yourself more freely, more creatively, more intuitively. So juxtaposing energies with the Nine of Pentacles and the Nine of Wands, where there's this sense of freedom, this sense of liberation of the self, of the authentic self is what I'm hearing, the sovereign self, with a little bit of that wounded warrior energy. He's fought battles, he's tired, he is maybe even a little bit defensive because of what he's gone through, but all of this is balancing out to become that higher level of self, to embody that higher level of self. So let's see what's going on for the Divine Feminine. What's going on for the Divine Feminine, please? Nine of Swords, lots of nines and lots of completions here. I think I had channeled this for the mini reading over on Patreon. That I feel like, especially with the holiday season, Divine Feminines might be feeling a little bit Five of Pentacles-ish, a little bit, left out, a little bit disconnected, feeling longing for her connection with her counterpart, especially just feeling a little bit out of balance with herself. And the guidance there was to look around you and get in tune and connected with what is physically present. And if your connection is not physically present, then be in tune with the energy of your connection within yourself. Tune into the connection that is always there. You're always in union. Union is not separate from yourself. Your counterpart is not separate from yourself. That's the illusion of separation that we're dispelling, right? So get in tune with the energy and recognize that you're not lacking anything. And I feel like that's some of this Nine of Swords energy that's coming through here. Tell me more about the Divine Feminine. Death and rebirth. Yeah, Divine Feminine, you're going through a major cycle as well. And I feel like this, again, is going to continue into the new year and really pick up momentum here. With the Page of Pentacles. So with this, it's almost like I'm hearing an anchoring in. So there's a closing out of a cycle for you too. And I feel like this was a major, major cycle of the past. Here you have... it's interesting. The major arcana showing up for the Divine Feminine energy, and major arcana are what I call my universal cards. This is destiny driven. It's like the universe is saying you don't have a choice. This is what you're going to be going through. This is part of your path. This is your soul's path. The minor arcana cards are more the free will energies. So for the Divine Masculine, you have a Wheel of Fortune, so there is forward movement. There is direction happening. The wheel is turning, and the Divine Masculine has no choice but to keep moving forward, right? But there's some choice points that he has to make. Is he going to continue in this Nine of Wands energy? Is he going to continue this defensive energy and holding on to the past? Or is he going to liberate himself and become that Wands, that King or Queen of Wands? Is he going to prove victory over himself? That's the choice point here for the Divine Masculine. For the Divine Feminine, I feel like she's really anchoring in to this rebirth that she has experienced within herself and continues to experience within herself. And this is a major, major thing for her. This is something that has been charted for her. And remember when we talked about moving through the doorway? The door is still open. She hasn't closed the door. That's indicative of her openness. But she is not looking back to the past anymore. I'm getting drawn to the Three of Swords, and it's actually in reverse on the bottom of the deck. I don't usually keep my cards in reverse at all. I make sure all my cards are upright because that's how I like it, because I don't read reversals. But that's this energy. It's like the healing from the past, the healing from the heartbreak, and not letting the past direct her or dictate her movement anymore. That's where she's creating that rebirth within herself. It's the open doorway. She's moved through that open doorway, crossed that threshold, and she is now creating, with the Page of Pentacles, a new journey for herself. And it's almost like she is open to every possibility and every potential. And it's like, okay, if you want to join me, you're welcome to join me. But I'm not getting drawn back to old cycles. I'm not getting drawn back to an old version of myself. Or if we're talking about the sacred connection, an old version of this connection where I lived in this fear, this anxiety, this uncertainty, this confusion. This is what she's closing out here. She's ascending higher than that. She's transmuting this energy and ascending higher than this energy that she was in. It's a very interesting energy. What else do we need to know for the Divine Feminines? What else do we need to know for the Divine Feminines? There's a lot of that sacral chakra that's coming in as well that we talked about, that creation energy that's coming in as well. That's too many cards here. What else do we need to know for the Divine Feminine for this new moon? 12-12 portal. Knight of Cups. Yeah, I feel like there's romance. And not just romance. Remember, romance is an energy of how you express love. So not just romance as in the 3D of what we think about. Remember, my readings are taken on a higher level. I can't help it. I don't look at things from the 3D perspective as much as I would like to understand what the hell is happening on the 3D perspective. Everything's taken energetically from a higher perspective. So when I'm saying romance, it's not like, oh, somebody's going to call you for a date or buy you flowers or buy you a gift. That could happen. That's all potential. That's all possibility. But romance is an energy, and I feel like there is this energy of nurturance, this energy of expression of feelings, this expression of love, this expression of the heart that's coming through for the Divine Feminines. I feel like there's going to be a reciprocated energy here. This could be somebody new, or this can be a counterpart that's coming back. We have Mercury retrograde. We're moving into Mercury retrograde tomorrow. We're already in that energy in the shadow period, but that's going to continue until January as well. So there can be, again, this is all cycles closing. So with the Mercury retrograde energy coming in as well, there's new beginnings and there's closure and new beginnings happening at the same time. So if this is with regards to a previous partner, like a previous catalyst divine counterpart partner, there can be some closure that can make a new foundation for your journey, a new foundation for your connection, a healthier connection rather than the toxic energy of the past. I talk about this a lot in that you're moving into the higher heart ascension. Especially if you relate to twin flame, sacred partners, that kind of thing. When you met your twin flame or your sacred partner, you were activated, and that activation brought up a lot of toxic elements that you housed within yourself, unconscious elements, I should say, the wounded nature of yourself. You triggered that within each other, and as you were meant to, because you brought it up for the healing, you brought it up for the clearing. Anything that was locked within the subconscious, you can't carry that with you into higher levels of ascension, into a higher level frequency. You're not meant to. All the unconscious patterning, all the woundedness, all the pain, that's where you love each other so unconditionally that you're saying, it's like in your contract that you're saying, I'm going to love you so much that I'm going to trigger the shit out of you so that this heals, so that you grow, so that we continue to evolve and expand. That's where you teach each other. But you're still operating from old patterns, and so you're not consciously doing this. As you move into the higher heart ascension, as you come into connection, that's why separation happens, because the energy is so strong and the triggers can be so difficult and toxic even. But what happens as you move into the higher heart ascension, now you're consciously aware of those patterns and you're operating from a new system. You're saying, okay, let's evolve and grow together. Let's consciously communicate. When we have any arguments or disagreements, let's repair consciously. Let's communicate in healthy ways. Let's recognize always that we're coming from a place of love for each other. Now, this is not tolerating or accepting abuse. That's very different. This is saying, let's repair the connection and prioritize the connection and honor each other. This is communicating with compassion, communicating with generosity of spirit and love, communicating with kindness. You still might challenge each other, but the teachings are not harsh. It's not like, you need to learn this, so I'm going to teach you this. Like, that's bullshit. That's an unconscious pattern. That's an unconscious way of being, where you feel like you have to teach the other person. That's bullshit. You grow naturally together. You work on your partnership together. You love each other in that unconditional way. And that's where you evolve and grow together. So when you're in the higher heart ascension phase of your journey that many of us have moved into, you are grounding the energy and embodying a higher level of being, and you're applying that to your relationships where you're no longer afraid of intimacy. You're not afraid of closeness. You're not afraid of vulnerability. You're not afraid. You've moved out of that energy because that's all the unconscious stuff, right? That's all the old stuff. You've moved out of that. And so now you're meeting, whether this is your counterpart or whether this is a new partner who's embodying that energy. Remember, twin flame is an energy, and you can have other partners that embody that energy. It's uplifting, it's encouraging, it's supportive. This is an energy that wants to see you succeed and is in the physical supporting that success and encouraging that success. There is no competition. There is no combativeness. Again, you might still have disagreements and maybe even arguments or challenges together, but you are approaching it from a place of oneness, from a place of togetherness within your connection, where you're honoring each other and where you are supporting each other through that growth and through that healing because of that place of oneness within. And so this connection, it feels almost very much like a soulmate energy, but it's a higher level soulmate. I call it the twin soul because it's like that toxic energy, that fiery energy is tamed. And that's what harmonious union is. It's a peace. It's a balance. It's just an unconditional love and honoring of each other. And I feel like Divine Feminines, that's what's coming in for you. If it's not already here, for many of my clients and friends, it's already here. But that's what's coming in. It is somebody who is embodying that higher energy because you're in that higher energy and they're reflecting that back to you. They're reflecting, again, that embodiment back to you of love. And it's going to feel good, uplifting, encouraging. I have a friend whose counterpart, it's different from her catalyst partner, is very direct, and it makes her very uncomfortable But through that, she's able to tune into herself and say, okay, why is it making me uncomfortable? Because I'm not used to this direct communication from somebody, and I like it. And so that's what I mean by challenge. It might challenge you, but it's not in the toxic way of the past, where you might have learned in the past. This is, you know, somebody who is challenging you to continue to grow within yourself through love and kindness and compassion. It's a beautiful, beautiful energy. So, Divine Feminines, you've got some love. You've got some love coming in. You've got some love. There might even be, there might even be communication with the original counterpart that activates you into this higher level of yourself and activates you into maybe even exploring other relationships and choosing which path you want to be on. Or it could be the counterpart is coming in with communication to show you how they have evolved and transformed so you can continue on a path together. But there are multiple timelines and multiple paths opening up, and it's up to you to use your discernment and to make that choice as far as how you want to move forward. And that's you honoring yourself, Divine Feminines. So beautiful. And Justice on the bottom of the deck with the Ace of Pentacles indicating just this, you've done the work. And so this is the justice for that. This is the balancing for that. And so you have a lot that's coming in for you, Divine Feminine. So be mindful of your energy and be mindful of what it is that you're creating. All right, this is a much longer reading. I hope that this was resonating for you guys. Let's just get one card of guidance with regards to just the overall energy, whether this is for sacred partners or whether this is for your overall ascension. Let's just go, what card of guidance do we need? What do we need to know? What's the most important thing that we need to know right now for our ascension journey? Emotions are running high. The energy is very intense. Trust and surrender to the divine. Trust, trust, trust. Trust your intuition. Use your discernment. Allow yourself to release the emotions in healthy ways because the energy is so intense, and surrender that energy to the divine. All right, I'm sending you all so much love and so much light.